In this video, I'm going to expand your skills on your overlocker, and we're going to challenge you again with something different. So I've got this cute scuba fabric left over from one of the projects. I want you to measure your widest part. So is that your waist? Is that your hips? You need to consider that when you're doing this, and you need the width of that fabric to be a little bit more generous because this is going to be a gathered skirt. So I'm going to teach you how to gather on your overlocker. Yes, that is exciting, I know. So we're going to go, because I'm fairly tall, I'm going to go as long as I can make it. But consider how long you want to make your skirt. We can always worry about the hem if it's too long. So go for too long to start off with, because we're always, in my workshops, it's very much going to be basic knowledge. I want you to work with learning how to use your skills and develop the skills. And then as time goes on, you're making clothes for yourself, you'll adapt it for yourself. So it's very hard for me to give you numbers. I don't want to bog you down with technical details. I want you to be bogged down with skills, and we'll build them up slowly. So I'm going to cut this away. There you go, as easy as that. So I've got a nice long skirt there. Great. So what we're going to do there is we're going to gather the top, and once we've gathered that top, we'll add it to the waistband. When I cut my waistband in the scuba, I'm going to cut it at the exact measurement of my waist. So I might not feel like divulging this nationally, but my waistband should be 35 inches. So I'm going to cut it at 35 inches, and I'm going to use that 2-inch tape, again, the elastic. So if I'm going to use a 2-inch elastic, I need to make sure I've got a 2-inch casing. So with the 2-inch casing, I will then have a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but I'm going to actually make it 1/2 inch so that it allows for the thickness of the waistband, of the elastic, and allows for the seam. So I'm actually going to cut it at 2.5 inches. So double that over. I'm going to cut my waistband at 5. Let's work on the wrong side, because we can draw on the wrong side and see it on this quite bright fabric. And my waistband, we said, was 35. So I'm going to cut it 35 by 5. So I've got my seam gauge. Again, I'm going to slide it up to 5. I'm going to mark 35 along there. So let's move that out of the way. So I've got 35 along there. I mean, bearing in mind, I don't need the whole width of this fabric, but I am just join the dots there. You might not be able to see the blue marking. There we go. So I've got my 35, and then using my seam gauge, I go down 5 inches, and then we'll just join the dots. 5, 7. Okay, so there's our waistband, almost there. My blade's not as sharp. Okay, so that's spare fabric over there. We'll need to use some of it to make sure that we've got some scrap fabric to test. Grab these out of the way, we don't need them anymore. We've got our 2 pieces. So there's the waistband, and there's the skirt. Let me show you if it's on factory settings. So we're on factory settings, this is what we get. So it's a lovely stitch, nice and flat when it's relaxed. Longest stitch, longest differential feed, highest differential feed, and let's stitch now. And it's as simple as that. Fantastic. Let's get on with the skirt. So we're going to work on one sheet, single sheet, and we're going to go all the way along the length. Sorry, the width. want to lift your fabric up and don't let it drag. If it drags, you won't get the gather. Okay. How amazing is that? We've got our gathered skirt. So what we need to do is it needs to be attached to the waistband, but what I'm going to do is bring the factory setting, bring the stitch back to 3, differential feed back to 1, and I'm going to sew the side of the skirt first. So I've got 2 long tail threads there. What I'm going to do is make sure they match up. I'm going to tie them together. Okay, and then because they've tied together, I know the ends will meet. Everything's back on factory settings, all the tensions are on 4. Make sure you're getting both layers. Pin this in place if you want to, so put the pins further away. There we go. So there's the main part of the skirt. I'm going to sew the waistband down. So join the ends. Like so. So I've chopped the elastic as well to the same measurement and serged the end, and all I need to do now is insert the elastic into the waistband. So I'm wrapping it around the outside of the inside and then fold it over towards me like that. Fold it over, and then it's folded into a waistband shape, hasn't it? And then all I'm going to do now is make sure I've matched the ends of the waistband. I'm going to place pins along the top. You can get ballpoint pins actually and use them, but all right with the elastic. So just keep feeling for the elastic, making sure it's fully pushed against the top edge of the waistband. And I'm making sure the pins are out the way, because when I come to overlock this to the main skirt, there won't be any problems and I won't have to keep moving the pins out of the way. We've got that waistband done. We've got our skirt. We need to make sure that the skirt waistband matches. Now, can you see how the waistband is way too big? To adjust the gather is pull on. Let me show you. So the 2 needle threads are my green and yellow. So what I need to do is find, and it's probably best finding it from the seam, is pick out the yellow and the blue strands there. Hopefully you can see. And I'm going to just cut only the blue and the yellow strands. I'm going to just pull out a manageable amount of that thread. So I'm just pulling on the blue or the green. And I'm going to gather a bit more. And that's how you can add more gather to the skirt. And just even it out. Just checking along there. Just spread the gathers round. Make sure it's nice and even all the way round. That's what we want to do. Okay, and then let's just check. It looks like it's very good to me. Just keep get the gathers to how you want. That looks a little bit plain to me. So work on it, get it nice and even. And this is the simplest skirt ever. Place the waistband so the seams are now inside. Oops, that's come undone. Okay. Keep your gathers nice and straight. Okay. And keep going round until you get all that done. So we're going to put that through the overlocker. So make sure the needles are up before you do the first stitch. Press the foot is up, and then I can shimmy. Oh, let's get rid of this. We don't need that. We can shimmy the fabric into the free arm. Place it under the threads. I've got an extra thrust on the foot, so just give it an extra lift, and then when you've done that you can put the press foot down and let's go. Right, so we're almost to the end, and I'm going to go over the last little bit, and then I'm going to leave a long tail thread. So let's chop this one off. Lift up the needles, lift up the presser foot, and we're going to chain off like that. Leave a nice long thread. I'm going to grab a tapestry needle because it has a long eye. Hopefully you can see that as I do that. And then just somehow manage to get these threads through the eye of the needle. And you've done that, use the eye, not the sharp end, use the eye to thread it into the wrong side of your stitching and catch it under a number of those loops. So about an inch worth of loops. It doesn't matter which ones. People ask me which ones, and it doesn't really matter. It's only there to sort of, so you're not cutting too close to the end there. And then pull it through. There we go. And then you can trim that end away. And let's remove all the pins. Right. Now that's that done. And here's my skirt. Back in the machine it goes, and I'm going to serge. So that's it. Needles out, press the foot up and serge away. There we go. So nice long tail thread again. Grab my needle, thread it through, and then on the wrong side just feed that through, just so you're not cutting too close to the edge. There we go, and your overlocking won't come undone. But what I'm going to do now is take it over to the sewing machine. I've got some white thread in there, and I'm going to turn it over and do a long stitch along the bottom. And here's the result. I tried it on, and I'm not a skirt person, so I've left it on the mannequin. Now you know how to make one, and it didn't take very long, does it? I think if you become really good at it, you should be able to whip that up in half an hour. No problem.